A quick disclaimer before we get started. Avatar fans, please put the pitchforks down. I know there's a lot of strong feelings associated with this movie, but I'm just reviewing the game. This isn't an essay about how the movie is actually good. Okay? Okay. You can delete your comment now. Hey guys, what's up? Bargain Bin Hobo here, and welcome to a new tradition on my channel. I call it Movie March. So from now until whenever I decide to stop, March will be about movie-based games. Now that's not to say I'll only cover movie games in March. I mean, if it would be logical to cover another month, then I won't hesitate. But from now until whenever, March is about movies. And movie games, you know what I mean. Leave that in. So what's the inaugural episode? Well, don't get too excited, because it is in fact Avatar: The Last Airbender on the Wii. Now, this is the movie, not the game, the live action one that everyone hates. And like I said, I know there's a lot of negative feelings with this movie, but please, just bear with me, okay? We're just gonna cover the game, okay? Okay. So, is The Last Airbender worth bending your wallet over, or is it Avatarable? Let's find out. It's time to hobo up!
So, if you don't know the basic gist of Avatar by now, please come out from under your rock and join the rest of us in society. Now, the movie somewhat followed the show's lore, but took a lot of liberties with it, and even played with the pronunciation. And sadly, since this is the movie game, we have to go with the movie story. Don't kill me. Anyway, so the story is that the four nations live in harmony, and everything is good, until it's not. You see, a comet flies across the sky, which gives the Fire Nation immense power, and they use this power to try and take over the world. So they kill the Avatar, the one who is the master of all four elements, and go on a scorched earth campaign, and just when all seems lost, the new Avatar, Aang, is found, and so he needs to turn back the tide of the Fire Nation. Now, like I said, the movie took a lot of liberties with the story of the show, and even played with the pronunciation, like Avatar is pronounced Avatar in the movie, but I'm going to do the fans of the show a solid and just use the show's pronunciation, so Aang, Avatar, etc, etc. Okay? Okay. Now, the story is serviceable, it's just basic plot of the movie, and really isn't much more than a reason for the things to happen, but whatever. Let's move on to the gameplay. The gameplay for Last Airbender is a 3D platformer beat-em-up hybrid. You play as three characters: Zuko, the Fire Prince on the run, Aang, the Avatar, and the Blue Spirit, a stealthy hero, for like one level. Each of them have similar elements to their gameplay, but also do have their own unique stuff to their own. Zuko is a pure brawler, plain and simple. All of his attacks are intended to inflict pain on his enemies in as big of quantities as possible. Aang does fight a lot as well, but he also uses airbender powers for other uses, such as moving objects and using air currents. Sometimes he's got to slow down and solve a puzzle, or something like that, and I use puzzle in the loosest definition that I can. Lastly, the Blue Spirit has a greater focus on stealth and platforming. While he can't use any bending powers, he can sneak up on his enemies for one-hit kills and defend himself just fine if he gets in the midst of things. So thankfully it's not one of those one toe enters the light and you fail kind of stealth games. You know, it's one of those few stealth things I actually like. It's only for one level. I know you're following the movie, but one or two more Blue Spirit levels, please. The controls work well here. B jumps, A attacks, Z uses whatever power or ability your character has, a fireball for Zuko, a blast of air for Aang, and a dash for the Blue Spirit. Holding A, B, and Z together for Aang and Zuko creates a shockwave attack, good for knocking enemies back when you get overwhelmed, or breaking things and clearing the way forward. The C button activates a special mode. For Zuko, it's a rage mode where he runs faster, hits harder, and takes less damage. Good for sticky situations. For Aang, it enables Insight mode, which slows down time and allows him to move faster and get through closing doors or make a hasty retreat. For the Blue Spirit, enables his Stealth. The Stealth rapidly drains your chi meter, so don't use it too often. And lastly, the D-pad moves the camera. Now, yes, this is a beat-em-up on the Wii, so don't act so surprised that it has motion controls. Thankfully, it uses them sparingly. While fighting, if you lay in a lot of hits on an enemy, the game will slow down and give you direction to swing the Wiimote in. Do that and you do a power attack, good for piling on the damage. This can happen a lot, but it's handy if the enemy is giving you a tough time. Also, you swing the Wii remote to throw things as Aang, or flick the nunchuck down to slam them on the ground. Zuko also has some shooter sections where he needs to shoot enemies. Point the Wii remote at the screen and mash the Z button, then hit the C button when the meter is full for a special attack. You also need a swing to jump to a new point when climbing as Zuko or gliding as Aang. You're not flooded with motion controls and they're pretty responsive. I can't think of a lot of instances where the game got the direction wrong. You go through levels, fight a bunch of dudes, move to the next area, continue that process. It's nothing amazing, the game won't be winning in awards, but it works fine. Also, do you see that little meter between the health and mana bars? That fills up as you fight. I think it fills up faster if you get big combos, but I don't know for sure. When it fills at the top, you get an extension to your health or mana meter, the color determining which, red for health or blue for mana. Now while you're playing, there are challenges to fulfill and hidden concept art to find, which is divided into the 4 tribes. So some of the challenges are literally just given to you, like double jump the first time, or defeat this boss, but others are, you have to go out of your way. I'm not sure if these serve to unlock things or if they're just for fun. And when you do finish a level, you are told how many challenges or collectibles you missed. So if you feel compelled to go back and get them, you know how many you need. Some challenges are general things like defeat an enemy with an explosive barrel, and others are level specific. Speaking of explosive barrels, those are a thing in this game. They can be ignited from a distance or struck up close, and their explosion can hurt everyone, including you. They can be helpful for picking off enemies, but I have been killed by them as well, so bear that in mind. The game also features boss battles. Zuko's bosses you attack directly, while Aang's you have to find some other way to damage. They're nothing mind-blowing, but they're fun enough to fight. Lastly, there's an arena mode. You and a friend choose one of the 3 characters and fight enemies. Enemies constantly spawn, and it's a race to gather as many points as possible. And there are power-ups and downs thrown in at random to raise the stakes. More unlocked in the single-player mode. And it's a nice way to incentivize playing the main story. I do think there's more player versus player stuff like a battle mode you could try to kill each other, but I didn't mess around with this too much. Enemy types aren't that varied, sadly. There's basically only 3 kinds of enemies. Guys that attack you directly, guys that stand off to the side and shoot projectiles at you, and large enemies that aren't as easy to slap around. A little more variety in enemy types would be nice, but I never found myself saying, "Aw, come on, not this guy again." There are 10 levels in the game. Each of them, save for one, take about 20 to 30 minutes to complete. So you can finish the game in about a day, and your playtime will get longer if you go after all the challenges and hidden stuff. All this with a frame rate that is pretty smooth, save for a couple of hiccups. Sadly, this is where the complaining starts. First off, the enemies, especially the big guys, can be really cheap to fight. They can hit you even while they're being hit, breaking your combo and getting some cheap damage on you. The bosses in particular pride themselves on how their attacks take priority over yours. And especially the last boss with his constant projectile spamming. Speaking of projectile spamming, enemies love to do that too, and certain enemies have projectiles that can stun you, and you have to shake the Wii remote to get free. Then you get away from that and they shoot another at you. You either get knocked down or stunned, and it's annoying when they can do that back to back. The only way to stop them is to go over and beat them up. Also, the camera, while mostly fine, it does have a few derpy moments here and there. The biggest problem is moving stuff with Aang. For some reason, I just love to sit right on top of Aang's head. And there are times I failed the QuickTime prompt as soon as it popped up. It didn't happen that often, and the most that happened was I had to restart an air current section or took some cheap damage. But it's nothing game breaking. Aside from those, the game is pretty fine for what it is. I'm not saying it's great, but it's pretty good to me. But then again, what does my opinion count for? Presentation isn't anything to get excited about. The graphics are pretty standard for the time. The environments, most of them anyway, look distinct enough to not bore you too much, and everything looks like it should. You'll be spending a fair chunk of time in each environment, but by the time it started to get boring, the game moved on. Voice acting is pretty good. I think the actors in the movie came back to voice the characters, but I could be wrong, and they bounce off each other well. The music is also good. I think it's just the soundtrack from the movie, which is why you're not hearing it, since I don't feel like tempting the tube bobs more than I already am. It's good that background noise gets the job done, but nothing you want to listen to outside the game. I wasn't expecting to be blown away by a movie game, but for what it's worth, it gets the job done.
So, that's the last Airbender on the Wii. How is it? Let's bring up the rating board and find out. How's the gameplay? There's a lot of fighting and a little bit of puzzle solving, and it's all mostly pretty good. The controls are responsive enough, everything works. There's a couple little hiccups here and there, like how the camera loves to sit right on top of Aang's head and be derpy in general, and the insta-fail QuickTime event's kind of annoying, but it's mostly fine for what it is. The multiplayer can be okay with the right people. I mean, like I said, I didn't really mess with it too much. But other than that, it's mostly fine. How's the presentation? It's really nothing outstanding. It's nothing gonna blow you away. But for what it is, it's alright. Music is pretty good, but I guess it's a movie soundtrack. And the graphics are fine. Like I said, they're not pushing the hardware, but they get the job done just fine. Voice acting is pretty good. Everyone bounces off each other well. So, what does that get this game? Hobo approves. Well, there goes another episode of Bargain Bin Reviews. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell if you like notifications. Come back next month when we look at a pair of kart racers trying to challenge Mario for market dominance. Until then, this is the Bargain Bin Hobo saying be brave, dare to play. I'll see you next time. Hobo out!